Welcome everybody to another Haven of Horror. I'm Subject879, back with Doolittle. Always good talking to you about some horror films.
Yep.
Today we're talking a little bit of a Christmas theme, Anna and the Apocalypse, which I believe I showed you, or had you seen this before?
No, you showed me. I think we had like a little like watch party with our friends. We're watching Anna and the Apocalypse, and I think something else, but I was exposed to this movie from you last year.
Okay. And I gotta
Yeah.
give a shout out to a mutual friend of ours, Bag Studios. He's the one who recommended this to me originally. One of the
Yep.
few things that we agree on. So if anybody is unfamiliar about this, with this, it is a zombie Christmas musical. Um, Obviously, the main character's name is Anna, and she goes to high school in Scotland with her friends, and a zombie outbreak happens, and there's music. Uh,
Yes.
that's about as general as I can get without spoilers, but we will be going into spoilers here in a little bit. So, Doolittle, you are a musical guy, so I'm going to let you go first here with some of the stuff you really like about this.
Yeah. So I think the first thing I can kind of say is the choreography and the composition is pretty good. Um, I am not generally a fan of musicals that have a how do I put it? That kind of appeal to like mainstream music sensibilities. I kind of really like it more when Broadway musicals appeal to themselves and they kind of take from and they're reverential to their form. But with that said, I think that some musicals have done a really good job with that. I think Rent's really good with that. I think Spring Awakening is masterful at that because Spring Awakening is taking that, the alternative rock kind of, you know, sound and applying it to a really angsty time. I think that Anna and the Apocalypse does that pretty well, especially because Anna's arc is very much she's kind of at a crossroads and, she's kind of, um, there's a lot kind of writing on some stuff. Like she wants to travel, and take a break, have like a gap year, I think, between like college and high school or uni as they call it. And, I feel like the zombie apocalypse illustrates that, but I think using the musical form as well as the zombie apocalypse, because this is kind of a horrible word to use of art, but I think that, musicals are a very efficient way of going about stories. You get a lot done by having someone sing about their struggles instead of just having them explain it through words in a lot of ways. Because music in general is an appeal to like emotions. It's very pure in that way. So I think that that is definitely kind of I just really appreciate how this film used its form to articulate its themes and ideas.
I agree completely, and I think what works with this is, I think if you remove all of the music, you would still get a good coming of age story.
Sure, yeah,
And they also, it's multiple genres. So like if you're not feeling one song, you might like the next song. Um,
yeah, that's fair.
and I think it's the strong point is the songs. I like most of the songs here, at least the full length ones. There's a couple like shorter ones, and I'm like, I feel like you could have cut that.
Yeah, sure, that's understandable. My thing
um,
with oh, you go ahead.
oh no, go ahead. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, so I was just gonna say also the other thing about like kind of musicals is that like they should kind of start as from like a concept album place where like you could probably tell your entire story through the music. Like the music is a very critical part of the of the piece, and I think this does that really well too. I think that like, but it is interesting that you bring up that point that you probably could cut out all the music and it could function as a coming of age story. I think it kind of goes both ways. You know what I mean? Or like if you take away the music, it can function. If you just have the music by itself, it functions. So it's pretty cool that it's like one of the more rare times where I can say that that actually can happen. So that's cool.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
And the other thing I think that really makes this work is the characters, because the first time I
Yeah.
watched this, I did like the music, but what really drew me in was the characters, especially Anna and John.
Oh, for sure.
And I think John's become my favorite character in this film.
He's
Um,
very sympathetic. Yeah.
in a way, I feel really bad for him.
Yes. It's very sad what happens to him in this movie.
um, and I also appreciate that it doesn't take the easy way out with the unrequited bleh, not returned feelings. Because I feel like in a lesser movie that would have been really obnoxious, but in
Yeah.
here it's just like she shuts him down.
Yeah, I think that they did a really good job being mature about that, with the whole unrequited love thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, I liked their conversation about it, and I liked kind of his attitude about it too, that he was like, obviously bummed about it, but like, as it was kind of accepted it, you know.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because right before I paused another movie to watch this one just as a refresher, called Better Watch Out, which we were
Yeah.
gonna do tonight, but I forgot about it. But it's the
Hmm.
opposite of that, but that's also the point of the movie, where this like 13-year-old kid can't like accept that his babysitter will not love him because he's 13.
Hmm.
So he stages a home invasion to scare her, and then ends up like kidnapping and like torturing her mentally.
Right, right, right.
So it was interesting, like parallel to this movie.
Right, right.
And I love that John's final moments are at, even though he's been rejected, protecting Anna.
Yeah, no, I mean, because at the end of the day, they're very good friends, like they've grown up with each other. They really respect each other on that fundamental level that, he doesn't, which is a really good parallel to Nick in the movie.
Hmm.
Because Nick is just a kind of a like a, he's like just a really obnoxious kind of person who, had this like one night stand with Anna, and is trying to, still kind of charm her in his own obnoxious ways. Nick would not be like that with Anna. Like John clearly is still friends with her and values her on that level, which I thought was really telling of the character. He does have a
Yeah.
good handle on that stuff, which is cool.
The last thing I do want to say about them before we move on to Nick, because I think he's also interesting in a different way,
Oh,
is I just
sure,
want to
yeah,
give kudos to Ella Hunt and Malcolm Cumming, who play Anna and John respectively. Their chemistry in this is fantastic.
yeah.
Every scene with them together manages to make me smile at least a little bit. Well, other
Hmm.
than the final scene, but you
Oh, for
know.
sure, yeah. I think that Ella Hunt, in particular, is an excellent. She's really good in this movie, and I'm not sure if she's in anything else, but I'm gonna be on the lookout for her because she seems very talented and knows what's up.
So she's in another movie about music, but it's not like a full-on musical, called Cat in the Band, which is okay.
Oh, okay.
And then she is currently on that Apple TV show Dickinson, where she plays the love interest of the actress that plays Kate Bishop.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. Haley Steinfeld is in that. Yeah,
Yeah, so I do want to check that out at some point. It's not horror, but I'd be interested just based on that cast, because those are both tremendous actresses.
yeah, no, for sure.
Um, So, like we mentioned with Nick, he's kind of a douchebag, but I
Yeah,
appreciate as the movie goes on, we kind of peel back some of those layers. And I think, well, at the end of the day, he's still not a good guy. It's more complicated than that, at least a little bit.
yeah. I mean, you find out a lot of stuff about like him and his kind of insecurities and his background, and it definitely adds a lot of nuance and kind of perspective of that character. It doesn't mean that you have to sympathize with them. It just means that they're being conscious about where all that's coming from. Again,
Hmm.
they're just really good at like crafting well-defined characters in this movie. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and they're all believable as teenagers, even though none of them look like teenagers.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, for sure, for
it's that,
sure. They definitely,
classic problem.
yeah, like they definitely look like they're like college age, I think, but I don't really mind because
Yeah.
the performances are very well done and the dialogue is also very grounded. which is cool. It's not like Riverdale.
I don't know what you mean. Riverdale is wonderful.
I mean, it is, but
So
yeah.
those three seem to get, I think, the most development. But we also have Chris, played by Christopher LeVue. I don't know how you're supposed to say that, and Lisa, who don't get hardly any development. And there are times where I think they forget Chris is even in the movie.
hmm
But how did you feel about the rest of the supporting characters of the younger audience or younger cast?
I thought all of them were very fun. I liked the other girl. I liked the blonde girl. Like I thought she had some really fun lines of dialogue. Um, you know, uh, I like the "Is she pissing?" line. I thought that was really funny. You know, um, I like the I like the other girl who she sits with them at that lunch table in the beginning. You know, um,
That yeah, that is Lisa, and you're right. I forgot about Steph, played by Sarah Swire.
hmm
She's outside of the main three that we talked about. Sarah is probably the most developed,
yeah,
and kudos to them for a little bit of representation without drawing attention to it.
yeah. No, I thought that was pretty well done.
Yeah, and she's got a good voice as well. She doesn't get
Yeah.
to do much with it, but I think the only scene with her where I cringe a little bit is I think it's supposed to be cringy because she's like a teenager. Is where they're talking about whether or not the French survived, and she's like, French don't take no shit. I was like, why did you
Oh,
say it like that?
that's fair. That's fair. Um, yeah, but I mean, yeah, I do think though that the a lot of the dialogue in this movie is pretty funny, which is cool overall.
Yeah, that's the other thing I think that helps this movie. But also makes me wonder if some of that was why this didn't get noticed, because this is obviously very similar to Shaun of the Dead, at least
Yeah.
in tone. But I think some of the dialogue is legitimately funny. I love in the cafeteria scene right before Hollywood ending, where they're talking about how the assistant principal, which we got to talk about as well, because I have very mixed feelings on him,
hmm
made Henry cry because he can't break dance, and Anna goes, "Henry has a prosthetic," and then the girl replies, "Yeah, and he's only got one leg."
Yeah, that's funny.
So, how do you feel about the principal by the time this movie ends? Do you think that is just what it needs to be for this type of movie?
Yeah. So Arthur Savage is the guy you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I think it works for the movie for what it is, but I think it is one of those things that like once you kind of think about it and break it down, it's a bit kind of much. But I do think he's fun. In the movie, you know.
Hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
his big song at the end there is, I love it. It's so goofy, and that
Yeah. No,
actor's having
I
a
agree.
blast.
I agree. Yeah, and I don't know. I'm not familiar with this actor. There's a lot of just a side note. There's a lot of like people in this cat, like young people, but also just like people I just don't know. I'm not sure if that's because um you know they're doing other things over there that I don't know about, or because of whatever. But all of them are pretty good. And he's really funny. He's really funny as the assistant principal.
Well, if it helps, half of them don't have Wikipedia pages.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that's probably why.
Mark or no, Paul Kay, who played Arthur Savage, though he has been in some stuff. It looks like the thing he's most well known for that would be here in America is Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Oh, he was killed by the zombie bear, right? In Game of Thrones, I think was what
I
happened.
guess I never made
I'm
it
not
that
sure.
far.
I
Um,
see. Oh, I apologize if I spoiled anything.
I don't care about Game of Thrones. I quit because I got bored.
Okay.
Not my thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Um, they also have some fun with the editing, specifically in the scene where Lisa is worried, or Lisa's grandma's worried about. God damn it, Chris's grandmother is worried about him, and Lisa says that he's seen every horror movie like ever made.
Yeah.
and then it immediately cuts to him jumping on Anna without checking to see if she's been bitten first.
No, that's funny.
Because Chris
'Cause
is kind of
yeah.
like a puppy in this movie. Like he's not very smart.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It's pretty funny.
Um, the song that's in the bowling alley, "Human Voice," is probably my least favorite of the full length songs. But I think
Okay.
the biggest thing that when because I mentioned earlier that I think there's at least one song you cut here. That penguin rap, I think you could have cut that from the movie and not missed a thing.
Maybe not. I'm not sure, cause yeah, I mean, maybe, cause my thing with that scene was I thought it was like I thought it was funny, but I also thought that like it was good to communicate that like yeah, like this is like a cringy um, you know, like talent show production kind of a thing. So
Mhm.
I thought it made sense for that, but yeah, I can see what you mean. We already have another musical number in that moment, right?
Yeah,
That
because
kind
right
of
after that, we jump into Lisa's song, which is the very suggestive song about Santa.
hmm
And I think that one is the much funnier of the two songs.
right. Do you think maybe they could have just like shortened the penguin rap so it could have been like more like towards edging towards the end of the rap, so that we understood like why it was kind of like embarrassing without like having the whole thing.
Maybe, I mean, it is very short, admittedly. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just maybe that's a taste thing.
maybe.
I've never been very big on the cringe humor.
I like cringe humor a bit. Yeah.
And so I don't know if you know this as well, but there is a novelization of this movie which I read eons ago.
Right. Right. Right.
And there's the scene where the principal's starting to lose his mind, and that woman's like, "If you really want to, just stay here."
hmm
The book explains that is actually John's mom,
Oh,
and it goes more into detail of him letting the zombies in, and like John finding uh, and Anna finding her corpse. Uh,
I see.
it's a little bit darker. The novelization's surprisingly good. They have like references to the songs because obviously you can't just do a musical in book form.
Right. Right. Right.
Um, I also love at the end. I don't know if you noticed this, but when Steph is going through trying to find her keys, somebody snuck a dildo into school.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
um,
Yeah. How did you feel about the ending?
I like the ending quite a bit. Getting back to Anna, her entire character arc is that she wants to get out of Scotland.
Yeah.
And obviously, this movie is very much about her having to forcibly cut ties with everything that may be holding her back.
Much like
Um,
Shaun of the Dead.
mhm. Where well, and with like Shaun of the Dead, it was more of he
Like the
wasn't
art.
progressing as forward as he needed to.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, I think it's if this had never happened, I don't think she would have been able to fully leave. You
That's a
know?
good way of putting it. Yeah. I mean, I guess at that point, the zombie apocalypse can be kind of seen as like a metaphor for just growing up in general and feeling uncomfortable or in an uncomfortable place like that. Like if you're feeling uncomfortable, that probably means that you're growing for the better, you know?
Mhm.
And I think the zombie apocalypse could be like a metaphor for that or something.
That's how I've always read it, is it's very much a metaphor for you can't escape growing up, you can't escape change that happens as you grow up. Um,
Right.
and I think that if the zombie apocalypse had never happened, something would have held Anna back.
Yeah.
But on the
Yeah, I
flip
think
side, the cost of growing up can sometimes be painful.
yes, and leave behind things that, and there's a mourning period after the fact. Yeah.
I also think it's interesting because I've always thought I like the song Hollywood Ending quite a bit. I also think that kind of predicts the ending because I guarantee you if this was like a big blockbuster, Hollywood film, it would not end like that.
Yeah. I thought about that, how this is a um like United Kingdom kind of production over there, and like an independent film too. And I, thought about how like over here in America, if this is like a big budget thing, it probably wouldn't be, it'd probably be a bit more optimistic, you know.
I've always said that if this was an American like big blockbuster film, the ending would be John survives and they end up together. That's the like Hollywood ending, dream come true kind of thing, right?
Yeah, that's the big thing that I think would even be implemented in an Americanized kind of version of this kind of story because all the pieces are in place for that to happen, but they take the more mature route and the more believable and realistic route, where she says no and and they have like a mature kind of understanding about that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's the
Like that
other thing
situ
I. Oh, sorry. Go
oh
ahead.
yeah, what's up? Oh, I was just gonna say that situation is totally like realistic, but just you know, um but it's what happened, like it's how they deal with that in movies that isn't like realistic, you know what I mean? So it's cool that they were able to follow up on having those pieces in place and actually have like the mature understanding like that. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're good. That
Yeah,
scene with the conversation is another place where I appreciate having this in a prose form as well,
sure.
because it really gets into John's head, and you kind of get to read the pain that he feels. Um,
Oh, cool.
and maybe it's a little bit of a sap in me, but I do believe he truly is in love with her,
Sure,
and
yeah.
that's what the sacrifice is supposed to show. And it's nice to be able to read those feelings, and because that's the one downside to a movie like this is you can never get fully into the character's head other than what the actors are portraying.
Sure, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's understandable.
well, we're not going to go on much longer. We've talked quite a bit about this. I think this has been quite a good discussion. However, I did want to ask best and worst song for you.
Hmm. Best is Hollywood. And worst we're gonna say is the Penguin rap, but that's only because it's really short and because it's not very consequential to the story, overall. So I'll go with that. What about you?
I'm gonna go with Soldier at War, Nick's
Okay,
song. I love
that's fair.
I like the melody a little bit. The only choice I question in is that is when he tries to go real high pitched. I don't think it fits with the tone of what they're going for that, but
I
you
see.
know. And then I'm also gonna go Penguin Rap. I know it's just a small like 40-second clip, but it was big enough it made it to the soundtrack. I don't know if you know this, but the soundtrack is on Spotify and a fucking song's on there.
That's fun. That's pretty funny. Do you make like a separate playlist that doesn't have that song
Mm-hmm.
in particular? That's
Mm-hmm.
funny.
Yeah, I've listened to this soundtrack more times than I can count. I adore it.
Really? That's awesome.
This is my favorite Christmas movie, hands down.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I've been struggling with what to give this because I'm going to be honest. On Letterboxd, I gave this a 5 stars. I don't necessarily
Mm.
agree with myself, but it's one of those movies where any issues I have, I don't care. But for the sake of being critical, because I don't think this is a perfect movie, I'm going to go with a 4 out of 5.
I'll go with the 4 out of 5 as well.
If you are interested in musicals, comedies, zombie movies, or coming of age stories, I cannot recommend this movie enough. More people need to see this because it only made $600,000 at the box office.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
To be fair, though, I think it looks like it may have only come out in England in theaters and then just came out on Blu-ray here.
That's probably
Um,
why.
there is a longer cut called the Festival Cut. I believe it is only on Blu-ray, so at some point I do want to try to get that and watch it.
Sure, yeah.
Well, Doolittle, thanks for hanging out and talking this movie for me with me. Anything else we should cover?
About this film? Not really. We could have like talked about the dad a little bit in the movie, but like probably not too much in depth. I mean, he's
So
pretty good.
I guess that is one thing I do want to mention because he is part of the. I'm glad you mentioned that because I forgot, even though I wrote it down. He is
Yeah.
very much part of Anne's character arc. and that is he is a very classic case of setup and payoff. Because at the
Yeah.
beginning of the movie, he's mad because Anna doesn't want to go to university. She wants to go travel to Australia. Why Australia of all places? I don't fucking know, but whatever.
It's pretty cool from what I've heard.
And he says, if your mom could only see you now, and he kind of, he says it out of anger and it slips. But at the end of the movie, he is bitten trying to stop Savage after he goes full insane.
Yeah.
And he says it again, but in this time because he's proud of Anna and he realizes, she is an adult and she's going to have to face this world without him sooner or later. Sooner now.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
That's pretty good.
oh, I do want to ask, who's your favorite singer in this movie?
Uh, I'm not sure. I feel like, mm, I don't know. I think the blonde haired girl is pretty good.
Okay.
I thought she did a very good job.
I'm gonna go with
Also,
Ella Hunt. Uh, oh,
okay.
sorry. What was your other one?
Oh, I was just gonna say also John's pretty good, and Ella Hunt, like you said, is also really good.
That final song she has, her voice is so haunting in that.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is all the time we have for today. And I don't want to toot our own horns, Doolittle, but I think this might be the best episode we've recorded together.
Hey, awesome.
But thank you guys for watching. We'll be back soon with more Christmas horror. I believe we're doing Gremlins and Black Christmas next week.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for that.
Have a good night, everybody.